Good morning. It's time for Two Guys on Sports. I'm Larry Hazer.
I'm Dick Olson. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, Dick. And I think we start off with what's going to be happening here at the Fieldhouse tonight, a big wrestling match.
Yeah, the Warriors having a triangular, and that's pretty much how they run the conference season now is triangulars. But anyway, Cadott will be in here, and I believe that's the early match, NGL and Cadott, and then the Osseo Co-op, which is several schools.
Augusta and Fall Creek.
And they will wrestle Cadott in the second match, and then they'll finish up with NGL in the third match. So,
okay.
And there's a lot on the line. The Warriors undefeated in conference dual meet. They come through these two unscathed. They will be conference dual meet champions, which is a pretty big honor.
Yeah, they come in 7-0, Cadott 6-1, along with Regis Altoona.
Yeah.
And, it goes a long way maybe towards what's going to happen next weekend in Neillsville.
Absolutely. Yeah, next weekend you got the conference tournament coming in, and right now I would think Regis Altoona, Cadott, and NGL will be the three favorites then, too. So Abby Colby will have some fine wrestlers here, too. But, it just kind of sets the pace, and it's a young group, Larry, that keeps getting better and better, and I think they're going to surprise us a little bit in tournament action here coming up, too.
I think I asked you this at one of the games that we were at, but you got to be surprised a little bit about this NGL team on top of the conference.
I am shocked. I said, okay, Chase Littner, he's come up in the youth, but he's done very well at 106 for a freshman. Ridge Tibbett sat out last year because he felt he was too small to wrestle, and he was. But he's come back at 113, and he's just been dynamite this year coming back. And, the rest of the guys, Dane Luchterhahn, Jake Luchterhahn, Jackson Meyer, heavyweight. He's 22-8 on the season, Larry. That's a freshman at heavyweight. That's tremendous.
Yeah.
And, I thought Jackson would be an excellent wrestler down the line, but not as a freshman. I thought that'd be a little too much as a freshman, but he's wrestled a lot of matches over his career and big matches.
Mm-hmm.
He's got going to some national tournaments and stuff. So, and he's doing well. And then, like we said, Hudson Sebastian Opel, since he's come back, he's just been great. He's 21-1 on the season, champion at 150 pounds at Sparta last weekend. So I think that's really made the team better with him stabilizing everything at 150 pounds.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a young team. There's a lot of underclassmen in that.
Yeah, you have three seniors in the lineup. Dane Luchterhahn, who's having a great year. He's at 24-9. Gavin McFarland at 157. He's 20-11 this year. And Damian Sampson at 190. But everybody else is pretty much freshmen and sophomores, and then Hudson is a junior. So, very young team. So
good things looking ahead here for NGL.
You bet. So.
And hard to believe that we're talking about the
conference season,
conference meet already next
But
weekend.
I look at my schedule at home, and the girls have, 2 or 3 conference games left, and the boys probably 5 or 6, and it's done. We're talking crossover in just a few weeks, so...
Yeah, and speaking of girls basketball, they won their 64th in a row in Eastern Clarabelle Conference play the other night when they beat Loyal 51-20. So they go 9-0 now in the Eastern Clarabelle. Greenwood improved to 7-3 with their win over Gilman, and then Owen Withee, a winner over Columbus Catholic. So now there's just a half game between those two.
And Owen Withee is a team to watch.
Yeah.
They have really come on lately, and they beat Greenwood pretty handily up there, and now they've beaten Columbus. It seems like that's a team that has their sights on second place here in the Eastern Clover Belt.
And I heard an interview with Coach Jalling up there in Owen Withee, and he says that since he has taken over, of course, Al Goodman was the big longtime coach.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he wants to bring that program back up to where it was.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard following anybody, and someday it's going to happen in Neillsville. Somebody's going to have to step into John Geier's shoes, too,
right?
Yeah. And it's hard because everybody thinks you should be able to step in, and it's not that easy. So.
Right, yeah. But Neillsville right now at 9-0, and again, Greenwood and Owen Withee. Columbus Catholic is right there, and Loyal's in the mix.
Yep. Yeah,
for second place.
Loyal's going to have a say down there, too. So it's there's, like I said, about 3 or 4 games left in the girls' conference season, so there's going to be a lot to play for yet.
Yeah. So. All right. In the Western Clarabelle, McDonald Central is at 9-0 and Fall Creek at 9-1. Regis still hanging around there at 7-2. So They have a chance maybe at a second place.
It just doesn't seem like anybody has the horses to go with Fall Creek and McDonald.
No.
And especially McDonald,
Yeah.
So.
And even when they went against each other, McDonald Central.
Yeah, handily.
Yeah,
So
beat Fall Creek.
Yeah,
handily.
I look for them, Larry, just down the line. There's going to be a pretty good collision course in Division 4 between them and Phillips. Looks like Phillips is a very good team again this year.
Yes, they are.
So,
yeah, it could be interesting once tournament time comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
With area teams.
So,
all right, so that's girls basketball.
we should say, Larry,
sorry.
we should say the girls are at home Friday night against Gilman. But Saturday, they are making a trip to Mosinee. I believe that's this Saturday.
Yep, Saturday afternoon, yeah.
Yep, so they lost a game at the Auburndale tournament because somebody pulled out, and they picked up a game with a pretty good Mosinee team. So
Okay, well, they used to play them years ago.
Yeah, and then Mosinee has been at the Auburndale tournament over the years, too.
Yeah,
So
right.
It's kind of a nice fit there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so they got Gilman Friday night at the Fieldhouse, and then at Mosinee on Saturday afternoon. That's a 3 o'clock start over in Mosinee.
And Sydney Subke ranked 5th in the three-point challenge in Division 4 this week. So,
and the girls ranked 10th in Division
10th.
4.
Just having trouble moving off that number 10.
It's tough. When you got 3 losses, it's tough to move up.
Division 4 is a beast anyway.
Yeah, it is.
So,
Yes, it is. It is. All right, boys basketball. Columbus Catholic 8-0, Neillsville 7-1. They're going to meet each other tonight.
Tonight's tonight. We will see. We'll see how far Neillsville's come. You and I both feel Neillsville's improved tremendously since their first matchup. Tonight they'll get a chance to prove it. So.
I had a chance to talk with head coach Mike Gaier before practice on Tuesday, and he talks about how that team has improved since losing 4 in a row and that matchup with Columbus Catholic tonight.
All right, Coach, let's talk first of all about your team. 4 losses in a row to start the season, and now you've won 10 of the last 12. What's been the difference here?
Practice time, getting in the gym and working on things. I think we had to learn a lot not having a Drew Brown, Braden Trunkle, or Alex King on the team for the first time, and we had to learn how to play team basketball. Those type of kids that we've had make it pretty easy for shot selection for other kids. Those kids are able to draw 5 defenders and kick it out, so threes are a little easier, a little more open. And now we had to spend a lot of time at deciding what shots we want to take and how to get them, and just being ready to shoot them when we're open. And through practice time and playing with each other, they started to get that. I think a big part of our early season downfalls, along with playing some really good teams right away, was we were in the 40s or 30s scoring the basketball, and now since I looked December 15th, we've been in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So our defense I think has been pretty decent all year. We can always get better, but just putting the ball in the hole has been a big difference for us, and kids getting confident in what shots they want to take and how to get them has been a big difference.
I know that you mentioned defense, and that's been a big thing for you guys too. I know you talk about offense, but defense has been really good.
Yeah, back when we were scoring 40 a game, we were only giving up 48 or 50. We were doing pretty well doing that, and so that's what we knew we had to hang our hat on this year. Not knowing who was going to step up and be a big time scorer for us, we're trying to figure that out still. But defense has got to be a constant, and what I tell the kids is defense, is about heart and energy, and that takes no talent. So our rotations and things like that we can work on, but heart and energy, our kids have a great bit of that, and that's what's carried us on defensive end.
Second half of the conference season starting now. You finished 7-1 in the first half. What's going to be your strength, or what are you going to have to do going on in the second half?
Yeah, well, we'll see Thursday against Columbus right away. They haven't lost yet in the conference, so we'll kind of see where we're at there. But not having bad stretches in a game where we don't score for a while, and we're giving up baskets or turnovers, really taking care of the ball and getting the shots we want, whether they go in or not. That's not always in our control sometimes, but not making turnovers that are unforced or anything like that, mental errors. And just staying together. We talk about the trust they need to have in each other, the energy they need to have for each other every game, because we want to be the best team at the end of the year, and we got to keep climbing the mountain to get to the top.
You talked about Columbus Catholic. What are you going to have to do this time around against the Dons?
Well, looking at stats, we did a lot of fouling. I think we lost by 9 or 10 points that game, and they made 10 more free throws than us. So that was a big difference in the game. So we really got to focus on playing hard without fouling, which is a hard thing to do. But playing and obviously guarding them in general is a hard thing to do with their ability to shoot the three and then on a bad closeout attack you to the rim. So really playing without hands and moving our feet well, working on closeouts, and keeping them off the free throw line. They're too good on offense to give them free ones. So really being disciplined in that regard. And then again, you got good teams are always going to score. You got to be able to score with them a little bit. So we're going to have to put the ball in the hole along with keeping them off the free throw line.
All right. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Coach Gaier talking a lot about how his offense has improved.
Yeah, it really
since the beginning.
It's really involved. I said that the early matches, games, I should say, Larry, there wasn't a lot of movement, not a lot of picks, just struggling and to find an identity. And then, maybe it was the marathon game where they did lose, but it just seemed like the movement was better, the passing, the ball just didn't go in the basket. But since then, they've just been excellent with ball movement and sharing the ball. There's usually 4 guys in double figures every night, but it's always a different 4 guys.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and he mentioned, of course, we mentioned that at the beginning of the year without one of your, top scorer and a guy to rely on all the time. So they've kind of had to kind of figure out that offense, and it's taken a little bit. Defense is the thing that they were going to hang their hat on.
You bet.
Coming into the season.
Yeah, and it's really straightforward. That 3-2 zone that they run with Schultz in the middle and Boyer on one side and Erickson on the other has just been tremendous in getting steals and easy transition baskets. So, but you talk about the team trying to find identity without a high score. It's been a long time since Coach Gaier coached a team without a high score.
Right. Yes.
So I think he had to find some neutral ground there too.
Yeah.
So.
And this is a different-looking Neillsville team
really
than it was when they played Columbus the first time.
Very well. Yeah, Columbus got off to a huge lead. And maybe that was kind of a turning point in the season, too, because Neillsville battled back all the way back to within 5. They were down 34-17 in that game. They battled back to within 5, and it was down the line. Free throws got Columbus back up by 9. But that was one of the games that you call a turnaround game right there, too. So it'll be fun to watch to see how far they've come tonight. So. And, of course, in that first matchup, Columbus didn't have Emmett Konitsky.
Right.
And he will be back tonight.
Yes.
And, you throw him in along with Blake Jacoby and Charlie Moore, you got an awful lot of good outside shooters on the floor at one time. Neillsville is really going to have to hustle on defense to get out on those shooters. So.
Emmett is playing very well.
Yes, he is.
Since he's come back.
Yeah, yes, he has. So.
All right, so that's boys basketball. The big one coming up tonight, Neillsville and Columbus Catholic, 7:15 on 92.7 WPKG. All right, boys and girls hockey. The girls team not faring too bad. They're at 12-7, I think.
12-7, with a win Tuesday night at Baroque, I believe.
Yep.
And Sydney Magnuson now just about 93% save percentage on the year. So
she had 28 the other night against Baroque.
Yeah, so
she's doing very well.
Yeah, you bet. So they're coming up on tournament time too.
Yeah,
so.
hard to believe. The boys, Black River Falls Co-op team, 10-8.
Yep.
On the season.
Yeah, they took a loss to West Salem on Tuesday night, but a couple local guys having pretty good seasons. Zachary Magnus, 4 goals and 2 assists on the season. And then Wyatt Hanna, 1 goal and 8 assists on the season. So a couple of guys really contributing down there for the co-op. So
all right, there we go. That's kind of a little synopsis of what's going on in high school sports, as we mentioned, counting down to
tournament time. Like I said, the wrestlers have their conference tournament next weekend, which is in Neillsville. But then the following weekend, they go right into regionals and sectionals and state. Bang, bang, bang. The whole month of February is booked for them. So.
Yeah. So. What's the last weekend of February? State?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
It's just a month away.
Same day as a basketball crossover, probably the girls' regional and all.
Yeah, that's a busy weekend. I know. That's a busy weekend. All right, where are they now here on the show?
Okay, Larry. I didn't do this intensely, but we are going to Marshall, Columbus today. So
okay.
And we're going to talk about Neil Zigerlicki, a 2007 graduate of Columbus Catholic High School. Neil was a 4-year letter winner on the Columbus Catholic cross-country team. His freshman year, Columbus finished 3rd at the WIA Division III sectionals, qualifying for the WIA state meet, where they would finish 13th as a team in Division III. Neil finished 91st in the state meet as an individual that year. His sophomore year, Columbus finished 3rd at the WIA Division III sectional, again qualifying for the WIA Division III state meet, where they would finish 13th as a team. Neil that year finished 82nd as an individual in the state meet. His junior year, Columbus finished third in the WI Division III sectional, qualifying for the Division III state meet again, where they would finish 13th as a team. That year, Neil moved up to 31st as an individual that year, and he was also second team all-conference in the Marewood that season. His senior year, Neil finished sixth at the Marewood Conference meet to earn first team all-conference honors. He would finish his career with a 15th place finish at the WI Division III sectional. In the winter, Neil was a 3-year letter winner on the Columbus Catholic basketball team. His sophomore year, Columbus was 13-9 on the season, losing to Oliva Strum in the regional semis. Neil averaged 9.7 points per game on the season. His junior year, the Dons were 13-11 on the season, losing in the sectional semis to Lourdes Academy. Neil averaged 13 points per game that year and was a second-team selection on the Marewood South All-Conference team. His senior year, the Dons were 19-6 on the season, losing in the division sectional finals to Suring, 67-59. Neil was first-team selection on the Marewood South All-Conference team that year. Today, Neil ranks 16th all-time on the Columbus Catholic all-time scoring list. In the spring, Neil was a 4-year letter winner on the Columbus Catholic track team. His sophomore year, he was part of a 4x800 relay team that qualified for the WIA Division III state meet at La Crosse. His junior year, he was part of the 4x800 and 4x1600 relay teams that qualified for the WI Division III state meet. They placed 9th in the 800 and 10th in the 1600. His senior year, he was again part of the state qualifying in the 4x800 and the 4x1600 relay teams. The Columbus 4x800 relay team finished 8th and 10th in the 1600. After graduation, Neil enrolled at Viterbo University in La Crosse and joined the V-Hawk basketball team. His freshman year at Viterbo was 9-21 on the season. Neil averaged 1 point per game. His sophomore year, Viterbo was 14-18 on the season. Neil averaged 2 points and 2 rebounds on the season. His junior year, the V-Hawks were 14-15 on the season. Neil averaged again 2 points and 2 rebounds on the season. He was a Midwest Collegiate Conference All-Academic selection and was also named an NAIA Scholar Athlete that year. His senior year, Viterbo was 6-25 on the season. Neil averaged 7 points and 3 rebounds per game. He was named to the Midwest Collegiate Conference All-Academic team and again was named an NAIA Scholar Athlete. Neil graduated from Viterbo University in 2011 with a bachelor's degree in business management. He was a magna cum laude honor student. In 2012, Neil graduated from Viterbo with a Master's of Business Administration, or MBA, concentrating on sustainability and leadership. Today, Neil is Chief Executive Officer of the La Crosse Area Chamber of Commerce, where he specializes in culture and enterprise strategic planning consulting. Neil and his wife, Whitney, who works as a marketing strategy person at Gensler Architecture, reside in the La Crosse area. Neil Zigerlicki.
Yeah, that strategy and statistics.
Yeah.
Always ones that always get me.
Yeah, strategic
and statistical and.
This guy's pretty good, interesting,
Yeah.
though. Reading a lot of articles, there's a lot of people pushing for him, like to run for mayor of La Crosse and stuff.
Really?
Like that, and trying to get his hat maybe in the political ring and stuff. He really carries a lot of weight around La Crosse.
Wow, good for him.
Pretty interesting. So.
Good for him.
Yep.
All right. Well, the big news coming down earlier in the week. First
Which
the Bucks.
team?
Kind of a surprise. 30-13, and they fire their head coach.
Yeah, this is something that doesn't happen every day.
No.
I said 30-13, probably be happy for most teams, but when you have championship aspirations like the Bucks do, and they made the big trade for Damian Lillard, obviously the bar has been raised. And defensively, Larry, last year at this time they ranked 4th in the NBA. They are 26 this year, and that's not going to do it come playoff time.
No.
You cannot win games 140 to 130.
No, not in the playoffs.
So I haven't heard. They are going after Doc Rivers.
No, they've got him.
They've got Doc Rivers. Okay, so
they signed him.
So
what do you think?
Doc Rivers is highly regarded in Milwaukee. Of course, he was a Marquette graduate and played a lot on the big time basketball in Marquette, and he's been pretty successful as a coach. We'll see. So.
I know some of the analysts that I've listened to say that if he doesn't get it done now, this may be his last.
Yeah, this is probably his last run around rodeo. He's getting up there in age anyway. But
I think he's 63. I think
yeah, but just pretty interesting. Adrian Griffin, he was under Nick Nurse at Toronto, and Nick Nurse always had tremendous defensive teams.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this deal was, but you think back, you traded probably the best defensive guard in the NBA in Holiday to get Lillard. And right there, I think says a lot right there, too.
What you did was you traded offense for defense.
Yes, absolutely. And everybody was excited about the trade, but, now people are wondering.
So the Bucks get a new coach in Doc Rivers, and the Packers then the other day fired their defensive coordinator. I think a lot of people saw that coming.
A few successful games at the end of the season doesn't make a season.
No.
And there's just too many hiccups over the year, too many late losses. And, you think about some of the games where people were running free in the secondary and and then I read an article Tuesday. It said, the defensive players would like to keep him around. Well, no, you underperform. Maybe the bar isn't raised high enough. So.
Well, if they'd have played like they did in the last few games of the year, all year.
Yeah, even in the San Francisco game, they played well. Yes, they allowed that late touchdown, but they played very well. Their defensive line played a lot better, and their young defensive backs played very well. Whoever steps into this position is going to be, if they bring the right thing, they've got the players to do it.
There's talk of who was Tennessee's head coach?
Not recall. Butch Jones?
No. Tennessee, the Titans.
Oh, Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
They're talking him maybe coming in.
Yeah, that's a good defensive mind.
I understand that San Diego's ex-head coach is off the list.
Okay.
He's not
and
on
I'll
the
tell you
radar.
one name that'll come up in social media is Jim Leonard.
Yes. Yeah,
And
he was talked about too.
And when Matt LaFleur took the job, he offered the defensive coordinator job to Jim Leonard.
But Leonard thought he was going to take Wisconsin's job.
Right, absolutely.
And it didn't happen.
Or other coaching.
Right.
And things were pretty good in Madison at the time with Paul Christ. But he every year he was being mentioned for head coaching jobs.
Right.
And he stayed put, and now it didn't work out. But you wonder if he's been away from the pro game a little too long too, though. So
Yeah. His name did come up.
yeah. Mike Vrabel is a solid defensive coach.
Ron Rivera was another name.
Yeah, which is another name. Ron Rivera's always had great defenses. Whether or not he wants to go back into coaching, we'll see.
Yeah,
But
Because some of these guys maybe not as good a head coach, but they're good coordinators.
Right. I think you got to look at some of the best defensives in the league. And of course LaFleur comes from the Shanahan tree. Okay, look what Ryans did at Texas this year as a head coach. It maybe somewhere around there you plug one. The Jets have a tremendous defensive team. Robert Saleh, the head coach, but he was a defense coordinator for the war. You get somebody off his staff to bring in, for successful. That's
It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
see who
it'll be
goes out.
interesting to see who LaFleur brings in.
Yeah,
It really will.
Yeah.
So.
The Tennessee Titans did get a new head coach.
Yep.
Speaking of the Titans, they took Cincinnati's offensive coordinator Brian Callahan.
Yeah, and of course Callahan, tremendous offense. Obviously a tremendous quarterbacks coach because what he did with Joe Burrow coming in right away. You don't see rookies take off like that, and he has a young quarterback there, and we'll see. He's not going to have Derrick Henry more than likely.
No.
It'll be a different looking offense. So, but and I said a couple of these. I don't understand the Patriots. They pretty much stayed in house with Gerard Mayo. I don't understand that one, but who knows? And then Las Vegas retained their interim coach, which I think
that was a good move.
He turned that around pretty good.
That was a good move there.
Yep. So Carolina hired a former player who'd been in their personnel department. Dan Morgan is their new GM. So
Okay.
he was a
All
great
right.
linebacker for the. Yeah,
Oh, sure. I remember him now.
Yep.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, but so there's still some coaching vacancies out there in the NFL. Bill Belichick still floating around.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh.
Jim's Harbaugh still floating around.
Yeah, the rumor I read, and I don't know where these rumors come from, but anyway, yeah, Bill Belichick and Kirk Cousins heading to Atlanta.
Well, I know there's been. I mean, they've had several interviews.
Belichick,
both him and Harbaugh with Atlanta.
Belichick and Harbaugh have both interviewed in Atlanta. Harbaugh has interviewed with the Los Angeles Chargers also.
Okay.
So.
All right.
And Belichick interviewed one other place too. I couldn't remember. I can't remember where, but
Not Dallas, was it?
yeah.
Everybody's talking about that one too.
Yeah. Well, I said, Mike, I think the biggest thing about Belichick is he wants complete control.
Yep.
And the Joneses are not going to give up complete control. And,
I can't see him and Jerry Jones mixing there.
You go back to when Bill Parcells was there 3 years. That didn't work. And
No.
Bill Belichick comes from the Bill Parcells tree.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so they want to buy the groceries and cook the meal. So,
Yes, they do. Yes.
And the Joneses do not allow that. The Joneses would rather have Jason Garrett lasted a long time as Dallas coach just because he was a yes man.
He was a yes man. Yep.
You bet. So.
Yes. All right, so it is Championship Sunday in the NFL. This Sunday we got the AFC Championship at 2 o'clock on CBS. Chiefs and the Ravens. First time the Ravens have hosted an AFC title game as the Ravens.
Yes.
They did it in Baltimore in 71.
Yeah. And if you go back, I believe they hosted as the Cleveland Browns.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
You're right. That was one of
the drive.
The drive.
Drive with the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
But all those records stayed with the Cleveland franchise.
Right,
So
yes,
technically, but
These two teams haven't met in a game since 2021.
that's kind of amazing considering they're in the same conference.
Yeah.
You would think they'd match up somewhere down the line. But this should be a dandy. I didn't think KC would pull it off going into
didn't
Buffalo, and I really don't like them going into Baltimore either because I think Baltimore is playing very well. Their crowd is nuts there.
And they got
yeah.
a better defense probably than
much
Buffalo.
better. They have the best defense in football.
Yeah.
And Lamar Jackson is playing at an MVP level.
Yeah, he's playing as good or better than
Right.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. So.
And then the NFC Championship game at 5:30 on Fox has the Lions at the 49ers. 19th trip to the NFC title game for the 49ers.
And, of course, Detroit, I don't think has been in it since 1991.
91 was their last NFC Championship.
And I don't know if they had one before that. Probably in the 50s then.
They're trying to get their first road win over San Francisco since 1975.
It's going to be tough out there, Larry, but
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
they got the team to do it.
I mean, if the Packers can get that close to them.
Right. It's an and is Debo Samuel's going to be able to play? You take him off the field, it's a different team.
Yeah.
But you got George Kittle ate the Packers up the other night. No ifs, ands, or what's about. That's the guy. You got to stop
Well, and I think Detroit's defense is better. They're going to put more pressure on
absolutely
the young guy.
Yeah.
Purdy.
Hutchinson and those guys are going to put a big rush on. And I think Jared Goff. I think the biggest thing that hurt Love was probably the rain in the second half. It seemed like because his throwing was really off the last quarter and a half. But Jared Goff is playing at a high level, but the thing about San Francisco, they get a lead, and then they're going to be able to run the ball.
Right.
And that's going to be the recipe. If Detroit can get out and get a lead, I think they'll be in pretty good shape.
And again, pressure's on San Francisco.
Yeah, it is. You could tell the pressure was on them last Saturday too. So,
it's going to be on them.
you kind of like to see Detroit win. They're one of 4 teams in the league who's never been to a Super Bowl, and probably the oldest franchise too.
Right, yeah.
By far. Because, because it's Cleveland and Houston, and I always forget who the 4th one is, but
Carolina's been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a 4th one somewhere. Believe me.
Slips my mind too.
Jacksonville.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're right. Yep.
But all those other teams, Jacksonville was an expansion team, Houston was an expansion team, Cleveland basically was an expansion team after the original Brown, Art Modell went to Baltimore.
Right.
So, but the Lions have been in the NFL probably as long as the Packers. So
almost, yeah. So we'll see what happens on Championship Sunday coming up. One other note on the Packers: they did sign a kicker.
Yes, they did. They didn't waste no time there.
Jack Podlesny.
Okay.
From Minnesota had him on their training camp roster.
Okay.
He was an undrafted rookie out of Georgia.
Okay.
And he didn't make the roster for the Vikings, but
didn't
take long there.
Coach LaFleur wasn't happy with Fox Sports, but he didn't waste no time.
No.
He didn't put his money where his mouth was there. So
that's interesting. All right, the Milwaukee Brewers may have filled a hole at first base.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, Reese Hoskins has been, 6 years with Philly, a 242 hitter over the years, 148 home runs, 405 RBIs. 2018, Larry, he hit 34 home runs, 96 RBIs. You look at his stats, a lot of walks, but a lot of Ks too. So,
okay.
But 2 years, $34 million. I think he's worth the risk. He was out all last season with an injury.
Yeah.
And then that he had been Philly's first baseman, but with him gone, they moved Bryce Harper into first base, and that's pretty much spelled the end for Reese Hoskins. So I think it's a good move. There was talk about the Santana, and there was talk about Joey Votto, but here you got a guy that's he'll be 31 on March 7th on St. Patrick's Day. So he, I think he's a good bet. So, and a right-handed hitter too. So.
Yeah, if nothing else, maybe a DH.
DH too,
every now and then.
Too. So yeah, they've got this Bauer kid they picked up, Jake Bowers. From,
Yeah.
we'll see. But add some more oomph in that lineup. They need it. So
you bet. Ryan Braun's going to get his name in the Walk of Fame.
Yep.
Sometime this coming year. They don't know when, but he will have his name engraved on a home plate shaped piece of granite.
One of him, Robin Yount, and Gatton are probably the three greatest Brewers that played their whole career with the franchise. So
all-time home run leader.
Yep.
Ryan Braun.
Yep. And he was terrific. The PEDs got him a little bit there, but he never quit playing.
No.
And I think the longer he played, the fans appreciated him again. But boy, I'll tell you what, 2011, 2010, there wasn't a better hitter in baseball, Larry.
No, he had some exciting games.
Yep.
Did some exciting things for the Brewers.
You bet,
kind of brought him back into the postseason.
You bet.
After a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was kind of when the new regime took over, he was one of the few guys left from the original one, and he was a leader on that team. And he came up with a lot of big hits. I remember that tie-breaking game in Chicago. For first play, he had a huge hit in that game, and he was a guy that these other guys all looked up to. So
Joe Mauer, Todd Helton, and Adrian Beltre make the Baseball Hall of Fame.
How about that? 2 first ballot guys this year.
And there's a lot of talk about Gary Sheffield not making it.
Yeah. Gary Sheffield, Larry, burned a lot of bridges in his time.
Yeah.
And not just on teammates, but also in the writers too. So the thing about Mauer, he is only the third catcher ever to be elected on the first ballot.
I would say Johnny Bench probably.
Yes.
Oh boy, let's see. We got to go back probably.
Nope.
No, we don't have to.
No. In our lifetime.
In our lifetime. I said Johnny Bench.
Yeah. After Johnny Bench.
Not Gary Carter.
No.
Oh boy.
Pudge Rodriguez.
Really?
Yeah, he was a first ballot, and there will be a fourth one here in a couple of years too, because if Yadier Molina is not first ballot, then there's something wrong with the system.
Yeah. Well, they're already saying.
Yeah.
I was watching some of these shows the other day after this, after these 3 guys got in, and they're complaining about other guys that haven't gotten in, and they're talking about the steroid era there, and all these guys that are not in, Bonds and
Sosa,
Clemens, and
So be
is
it.
Pete Rose in?
Yeah, Pete Rose isn't in. They all broke the rules, and that's the way. And baseball has always been a very traditional game. Yeah. And you talk to any veterans committee, all these guys, they want nothing to do with Pete Rose.
Right. No.
And I think it's going to be the same thing with the steroid guys.
I think so.
But
it's just that way. It's just the way it happened.
Yeah, Billy Wagner was 5 votes short, so he'll be a guy to look for next year because I think he's only got one more year left.
I was going to say, I don't think
one
he got
more year
many.
left on the ballot. But he was a great left-handed relief pitcher.
He was.
But relief pitchers haven't always been smiled on when it comes to the Hall of Fame.
So just because of their.
But Adrian Beltre, he was interesting too. He played for the Los Angeles Dodgers, but when he went to Texas in 2011, he became a Hall of Fame player in Texas. So
played a long time.
Yeah. And one guy, Todd Helton too. He played all those years.
He was a great hitter.
Yeah, under the radar out in Colorado, but what a great hitter. And of course, Coors Field is always people kind of bias against Coors Field, but Todd Helton could hit anywhere.
He beat out Peyton Manning, I heard, as a quarterback somewhere.
University of Tennessee.
Was it Tennessee?
Yeah.
I heard that. He was a good athlete.
left-handed thrower.
He was a good athlete. Athlete. All right. So what else we got going on?
Wisconsin Badgers defeated Minnesota the other night.
Yes.
Tuesday night. They are ranked 13th in the country, and they host Michigan State Friday night at the
Still
Gold
hold
Center.
that top spot in the Big Ten.
You bet. They're there. So they've got a tough schedule coming up, but because they've got Purdue and a few others coming in, but looking pretty good for the NCAAs. So
I never would have thought that they would be, but
Yeah.
you know what, this portal and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, you get AJ Storr coming in here.
I
and-
said this is, I haven't watched a whole lot of them, but they are so much more athletic. Even when you go back to the Bull Ryan teams that made the Final Four, this is a more athletic team than Bull Ryan ever had.
Yeah.
So-
yeah. Probably not as disciplined
No,
as the Bull
absolutely.
Ryan team.
And the Bull Ryan teams of 14 and 15 were so senior oriented.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
You take Kaminsky and all those guys, and they were 4-year guys. They almost had it. They were almost like a mid-major team because, they very few one and dones or whatever they called them in those days. And that's why, and that's what made Bull Ryan such a good coach because he could take these guys. They weren't highly recruited, but he made them into players by the time they were seniors. So.
Yeah. Kaminsky went on to the NBA.
NBA. Sam Decker, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Minnesota or Wisconsin women also beat Minnesota.
Yeah. Yep.
So all the teams beat Minnesota this year.
Yeah. Hockey.
Men's and women's basketball, hockey teams, football, and volleyball.
Yep.
All beat Minnesota. I don't
And
know.
the Packers split with the Vikings.
Yeah. They didn't say how long it's been since they've done that.
And that's, but Wisconsin's been pretty down.
Yeah.
Basketball lately hasn't been real strong up at Minnesota. Hockey, it seems like it's about 50-50 every year. And lately, till this year, the boys, Minnesota's been dominating, but it's on the opposite side with the girls.
Yeah, right.
Mark Johnson pretty well does his best there, but so
Yeah, he's done a nice job with that team.
and he keeps getting stronger and stronger. So
Yes, indeed. All right, so we got the big game tonight in boys basketball, Neillsville and Columbus
should
Catholic.
be a big crowd and should be a raucous time in Columbus. It always is. So.
Yes, it is. 7:15 is game time on 92.7 WPKG. That'll do it for Two Guys on Sports for this week. I'm Larry Hazer.
I'm Dick Olson.
We'll talk to you again next week.
Yep.